Lindell TV is pleased to present the Sentinel Report with your host, Alex Newman. Alex has written for a wide array of publications in the United States and abroad. He currently serves as a contributor to Epoch Times and foreign correspondent and senior editor for the New American magazine. Alex is the author of several books and has been a guest on countless radio and television programs and is a much sought-after conference speaker. Alex is best known for his reporting and research that has exposed the dangers and agenda of globalism. As the father of 5 children, Alex is working to defend faith, family, and freedoms from the hostile philosophies and ideas that are contrary to the Bible and the United States Constitution. And now, here is your host, Alex Newman.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sentinel Report. I'm your host, Alex Newman. Thank you for joining us. Our Bible verse for the day comes out of John. This is chapter 16, verse 33. It said, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation. But take heart, I have overcome the world. And it's a good reminder, folks. I sometimes hear Christians say that, oh, if you're a Christian, you're not going to have any problems. You're totally good. You're going to be healthy and wealthy and dressed for success. And yet our Lord actually told us that in the world you will have tribulation. So when people ask me, Alex, do you think we're going to be here for the tribulation? I say, well, we've been in tribulation for 2,000 years. Okay, read Fox's Book of Martyrs. Yeah, we were promised by our King that we will face tribulation, that people will hate us for following him. But take heart, as Jesus says, he has overcome the world. All right, folks, we're going to do a short news segment today. We also have the great Pete Santilli with us today. I'm so thrilled to have him on. He's a good friend. He is a superhero and a great, great journalist who actually has gone through the meat grinder, courtesy of the regime. We'll be asking him his thoughts as someone who's been there, done that, about what happened with January 6th and the new stuff that's coming out, and also all the other great things he's reporting on. First, guys, our partners over at Noble Gold Investments want you to know that we are at war and we are in a recession. The two things the government doesn't want you to know, but it's only a matter of time until cracks start to show. And do you know who will get hit the worst? Well, that's going to be you and me, of course. That's why you need to protect yourself and your family. Things are only going to get worse from here. Fortunately, Noble Gold Investments is here to help. You've worked hard to build up your savings and investments to see it all crushed to bits in the financial fallout from the wars, the trade restrictions, the sanctions that are bound to come. Gold and silver from Noble Gold Investments are real possessions in times like these. But knowing that you're outside the system when it all goes wrong is a great feeling and a surefire way to keep your money safe for your retirement. It's a precious metals IRA. Noble Gold Investments has been helping people to keep their money safe for years with these, and this month they are giving away a free beautiful Gold Eagle bullion coin like the one you saw on your screen with every qualifying IRA of $50,000 or more. Make sure you don't get trampled. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Obviously, there's always a risk with all investments, and there's never a guarantee of any kind. All right, guys, we're going to go through some news real quick. A bunch of hucksters are hoping to resurrect the long dead and long buried so-called Equal Rights Amendment. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley says on Twitter that it's 2023 and women are still fighting for equal rights. I'm like, oh, well, I wonder which rights women don't have. I'd love to see a list of those. My wife would probably be curious too. She goes on to say that Congress must pass our bill to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment and enshrine the dignity and humanity of all people in the Constitution. I'm going to show you her video in just a moment, folks. But first, they can't ratify this. Numerous states that actually passed the request for this amendment had deadlines on them, and those deadlines are passed. There is no way for Congress to legitimately ratify this abomination. Second of all, why would my wife, my mom, my sisters, my daughters want to lose the historic protections that civilized societies have always afforded to women, at least since the time of Jesus Christ? Why would they want to lose all of that? In exchange for what? To be able to be drafted so that men can use women's bathrooms? Really? Look at this video that this Congress critter Ayanna Pressley put out.
A century since the Equal Rights Amendment was first introduced, women are still demanding to be equal under the law.
Hey, what do you say? Ratify the ERA.
50 years ago, it passed in Congress after a bipartisan push from leading female legislators like Shirley Chisholm.
If the women's movement is to be successful, you must recognize the broad variety of women they are and the depth and range of their interests and their concerns.
But it was never ratified. Determined resistance from conservatives like Phyllis Schlafly stopped the movement in its tracks. Just 3 states short of the 38 needed to become official. In 2020, Virginia became the 38th state to ratify the ERA, following Nevada and Illinois.
Should this be a partisan issue? Equality for all people? Certainly there should be.
You got it here. Equality for all people. Again, I'd like a list, please, of all the alleged rights that women don't have in America that men do have. Okay. The short answer is there are none, right? They manufacture stuff. Oh, the pay gap, right? Total lie. They are deceiving you, folks, and women are actually the ones who would be most harmed by this. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the United Abominations, Antonio Guterres, former head of the Socialist International, says we're 300 years away from gender equality for women. Maybe in Saudi Arabia, maybe in Yemen, maybe in Oman, but not in America. And of course, what they really mean when they talk about gender equality and women's rights at the United Abominations, what they're really talking about, folks, is radical feminism. They want to dismantle the family. They want to push all women out of the home and into the workforce so that the government can raise your children, so they can tax twice as many people, and so that they can exert total control over society. Meanwhile, Mr. Guterres really stepped in it on Twitter. He said that the COVID pandemic demonstrating that what we have known all along, that millennia of patriarchy have resulted in a male-dominated world with a male-dominated culture, which damages everyone. And quite unsurprisingly, he was deluged with an enormous number of responses, urging him to resign, calling for the defunding of the United Nations, etc. Folks, when they talk about patriarchy, recognize all they're talking about is the biblical model of the family. They don't believe that the biblical model of the family is appropriate. They want to smash it, and so they throw out terms that they think people will agree with, like women's rights, gender equality, stop patriarchy, things like that. This is an attack on the nuclear family. It has nothing to do with giving women any additional rights. It's about brainwashing the kids, breaking up families, and undermining God's design for family. Over in the United Kingdom, the political class is demanding war and ever more war. Here's the head of the British Parliament's Defense Committee calling for war. Watch.
We are now at war in Europe. We need to move to a war footing. We are involved in that. We've mobilized our procurement processes. We're gifting equipment. We need to face Russia directly and rather than leaving Ukraine to do all the work.
Yeah, we just need to have a war, right? And I'm sure the UK, with their transgender troops and their sensitivity training and all that, they're going to do real well in a war. All right, folks, we're being set up here, folks. We're being set up. This is a Hegelian dialectic. They're trying to trap us into a world war so that they can promote globalism. We might do a whole episode on that coming soon. One more quick thing. The Republican Party of Texas, which, by the way, is the biggest Republican Party in the country, the biggest Republican Party in a red state, they now have censured officially a congressman who voted in favor of this vile Disrespect for Marriage Act that purports to impose homosexual so-called marriage on all 50 states. The congressman is Tony Gonzalez, and according to this resolution, the state GOP may actually endorse a primary challenger and will refuse to offer any financial or other support to this guy beyond the bare minimum required by law. Here's what they said exactly in their resolution. Congressman Tony Gonzalez is discouraged from participating in the 2024 Republican Party primary. By the way, this resolution passed 57-5. That tells you where grassroots Republicans are. The resolution goes on to say, if Congressman Gonzalez files an application to run for any public office in the 2024 Republican Party primary, the SREC shall be authorized to spend up to 12% of the party's general fund on voter education in the state of Texas by republishing this censure resolution. Thank you, Texas Republicans. Thank you for that. We need to hold these rhinos accountable, and you are leading the way. And all of us, all across the country, so appreciate that. And there are many others, right? There's at least 24 House Republicans who crossed over to vote with Democrats to impose homosexual so-called marriage on our entire country in flagrant violation of God's design for family, in flagrant violation of biblical principles, and in flagrant violation of their oath of office to uphold and defend the U.S. Constitution. They have no power to do this. It's a disgrace, and they all should be fired. We're going to be right back, folks, with Pete Santilli, incredible journalist extraordinaire. He also hosts a show that airs right here on Lindell TV. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
Most churches are silent about today's intense culture wars, leaving Christians alone and ill-equipped to stand in the battleground of ideas raging against us. That's why GTI Ministries has created a special bundle of new teaching tools to keep your family, friends, and church from being taken captive by a world at war with our God. We have reformatted our popular You Are What You Think textbook series to synchronize with our Thinking Like a Christian video series, enabling anyone to easily lead others through this life-changing curriculum. Our special bundle also includes new instructor guides for assisting the leader moment by moment, and which also contain discussion questions with answer keys. Go to gtimin.com and click the green banner at the top to receive your special bundle containing all these resources for only $119 for the DVD format or $99 for the streamed or thumb drive style. Take a stand for family and faith. Go to GT.
The Homegrown Generation Family Expo is back. The Homegrown Generation Family Expo is a live and fully interactive online conference coming March 6th through 9th. The conference will feature many of today's most popular speakers addressing the most important issues that homeschool families face, and every session will give you the opportunity to have your questions answered. Registration is now open at homegrowngeneration.com. Use the coupon code Newman to save $10 on registration today. It'll be 4 days of nonstop encouragement and fun that you can enjoy from the comfort of your home. Registration includes lifetime access to every session. Mark your calendars for March 6th through 9th and visit homegrowngeneration.com to register today.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to bring you my Giza Dream bed sheets for the best offer ever. We're all experiencing rising prices, but I was able to secure a limited amount of Giza cotton for a great price, and I'm passing those savings directly on to you. You can get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98 with your promo code. They're the most luxurious sheets ever, made with the world's best cotton. It's grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. I know my sheets are perfect for you, and I'm extending my 60-day money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1st, 2023, making them the perfect gifts for your friends, your family, and everyone you know. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 50% on my Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.98. Quantities are extremely limited at these amazing prices, so please order now.
Welcome back to the Sentinel Report. I'm your host, Alex Newman. Our guest today is the great Pete Santilli. He is an investigative journalist and internet broadcaster. He's been doing it for over a decade. He's a former U.S. Marine, or as they say, there are no former Marines, right? He is always a Marine. He was a corporate executive with Bell South Mobile Communications and Coca-Cola. He decided to enter the realm of independent media after discovering what he describes as the shocking truth about the cover-up of 9/11. As an early adopter of internet live streaming technology, Pete is recognized by the American Film Institute as a pioneering broadcaster. In 2016, he became the first reporter to stream a major international news story to millions of viewers for an entire month. Pete and I go way back. I was going on his show even before the feds held him for a very long time in a correctional facility over what happened at the Bundy Ranch and some other related things. We'll get an update on that. But Pete, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you. So Pete, I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see some real obvious parallels between what happened to you and what happened to some of the guys at the Bundy Ranch, and then later what happened in Oregon, and the clown show happening in Washington, D.C. regarding these January 6th folks that, as the video shows, were not violent insurrectionists, but mostly peaceful protesters, Americans concerned about their country. What say you?
I say that they were practicing on a smaller group of people. We were the deplorables before the term even existed, but essentially the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Bureau of Land Management, or federal law enforcement, utilizing some of the most sophisticated social influence operations, all of that stuff, all the technology that we hear about that they're employing today. They did that back during Bundy Ranch. Believe it or not, the Bundy Ranch protest took place in April of 2014. They ran their influence operation beginning in January 2014. So what was Bundy Ranch all about? A microcosm of what we saw on January 6th. January 6th, we can call it a color revolution. We can call it an overthrow. I think you may have seen the Newsweek article published last year where acting AG Rosen deployed commandos from Quantico, Virginia, unilaterally without Congress knowing about it, without any other agency knowing about it. They had upwards of 1,000 consisting of federal agents under the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, including military and intel professionals that were on the ground on January 6th. They exploited the emotions of everybody that went there, 1.5 million people. They do it. They've done it all around the world. They know how to launch color revolutions. They know how to get people that are there to protest and are energized to be at any particular protest, and then get them to do things they normally wouldn't do. Well, January 6th was exactly that, run by these intel agencies without even the permission or knowledge of the Pentagon or any other agency. AG Rosen had unilateral authority to do it. Now, here's another thing, is that all this video has been withheld from these defendants. Withholding exculpatory evidence is exactly what got the Bundy Ranch trial dismissed in Nevada in 2017. They've done the same exact thing. It's a violation of law so egregious that even a leftist judge like Gloria Navarro, because it's prosecutorial misconduct, we have a right to see the evidence that's against us. And if there's evidence that could exonerate us and you withhold that, they essentially punish the government by dismissing the case. Even if you broke the law, even if somebody, violated, broke a window or something like that, the punishment always goes to the government. So that's what we have here. We have essentially this same corrupt DOJ and FBI that came after me, fabricating witness statements and just basically sticking me in a box for 619 days. The full force of the government coming upon us. Why? Because of Western land issues? No, they were practicing their tyranny back then, and they just basically franchised it out and went national with it during January 6th.
Yep. And they use some of the same kind of tactics, too. They do these outrageous charges, and they tell these poor guys, you're going to be in here for the rest of your life unless you take a plea deal, and then you plead guilty, and you're going to be here for only 1 year or 2 years. And so all these poor people, they're terrified. I'm never going to see my kids again. Okay, and they take a plea deal. All the while, the government is laughing all the way to the bank. They know that these charges were nonsense, and they did the same thing to some of the guys in the Bundy Ranch and later in Oregon, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, over my 619 days, believe it or not, I became very good friends with people on the inside. And some of whom, I looked at their cases, everybody's innocent, but there were a couple people where they sent a text message to their family member. Next thing you know, they're wrapped up in a drug conspiracy charge where they're truly innocent. And they're sitting there because the system is so corrupt. They have a 97% success rate. Nobody can afford to defend themselves at federal trial. It costs you to go to trial $2 million, depending on the circumstances, to defend yourself against the government. Well, what they do is they assign these, they're called Criminal Justice Act attorneys, essentially the equivalent of it's a court-appointed attorney, like a public defender, but they're a higher level of that. But they have you sitting there. These attorneys have thousands of case files, and all they do is just visit their clients once a month. And after about 18 months, they come in and say, are you ready to plead out? We'll give you time, sir. And these are innocent people who wouldn't take that. Taking time served, they take felonies, and they walk out the door. A 97% success rate doing this to Americans. Probably 80, 90% of these people are sitting there just slow cooking into a win for the Department of Justice. One of the most corrupt entities that most people don't even know about.
Yeah, it's unbelievably bad, Pete. And so they're terrorizing mostly peaceful protesters, little old grannies, farmers who don't want to lose the land that their great-great-grandpa settled in the 1800s. Meanwhile, human traffickers, sex slavers, communist spies, terrorists, ANTIFA running all around the country, no consequences at all, firebombing pro-life centers. The DOJ sees nothing. It's so grotesque, Pete. It makes you want to hurl, and yet this is our country today.
Can I add something to that?
Please do.
there isn't just circumstantial evidence. It's not a conspiracy theory, but all the categories that you just described that the FBI is, quote unquote, not looking into, they're typically fueling all of it.
Yep.
You know, dating all the way back to the Ku Klux Klan, it was never violent. It was never truly hateful as far as vandalism and stuff like that until the FBI assigned their 600, undercover agents and FBI informants. They've been doing this over and over again. They're the ones that have the internal operatives. January 6th, I don't know if you know this, and even Tucker Carlson glossed over it. There's facial recognition that shows that the initial breach on January 6th at the first breach, and there was a second breach, they have facial recognition that shows that the majority of them were feds. They've never brought that forward.
Yeah, and we have the video too of the Antifa, obvious Antifa. They're wearing black everything, and they're breaking the window. And you see the Trump supporters trying to stop them, saying, "No, don't do this, guys. This is a bad idea." It's so obvious that we're being had, Pete. And unfortunately, there are still some undeterminate number of people who are still watching CNN and NBC and ABC, and they live in an alternative universe, right? We know what they're being exposed to, but they have no idea of the truth that, thankfully, I would say probably half of America is starting to get. Pete, we have so little time and so many things to talk about, but I want to put the ball in your court. You have a knack for finding the most important stories, for figuring out what is really happening. What are some of the things that you're following? What are some of the things that you think are most important to discuss right now?
This Tucker Carlson thing, it's hot on our platter. Tucker Carlson, as Fox News does, they speak Republican to Republicans. They give you 80% of the truth. But the most important stuff that gets withheld, that's 20% of it. They always withhold it. Tucker Carlson was supposed to be revealing more damning videos, and he's just stuck in a CIA mockingbird media. I mean, and Fox News is just as guilty as the others. You just feel comfortable because they're speaking Republican to you. Right now, the media, including Fox News, is part of the coup d'etat. The mind control, the psychological warfare that's being perpetrated upon us. You look at CNN and MSNBC, and now even including Fox, withholding information about the damaging side effects of Pfizer. They can't talk about that. They can't talk about remdesivir being used to kill people at our local hospitals. They can't do that. Why? Because they're cutting to a big pharma ad. So, and it's not just bias. It's not just advertising. They're literally infiltrated by the CIA. CIA Mockingbird is at Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. It's part of the coup. It's part of the coup. Yep. That's the biggest story that we need to drill into. And unfortunately, not even President Trump will say the letters CIA. And just recently, he praised the FBI that was in the crowd at CPAC. It's a criminal crime syndicate that tried to overthrow him. He shouldn't be that kind to them. The only good FBI agent is one that evacuates and gets a new career.
Yeah, unfortunately, more and more people from the FBI are leaving. The only problem with that is then we're left with the worst of the worst running the place, and there's nobody even there to blow the whistle when they get too far out of control. But I agree with you wholeheartedly about Fox. You know what? And I've appeared on Fox. I don't have any personal vendetta against any of those guys. I like Tucker's show. He does a real good job. But I look at these guys, and I think some of them really want to tell the truth, but they're like dogs with these invisible shot collars, right? As soon as you cross that invisible line, bzzz, right, and you get a warning from the executive, you can't touch that story. And so now they'll talk a little bit about the damage that the vaccine has done. Now we're 2 years too late. Now most of their viewers have gone ahead and gotten the injection. So now they can afford to talk about it. Why didn't you warn people back in January of 2021 when we started warning people? It's just so sad. Pete, what else other than Fox News being part of the problem? And I agree with you. What else are you following?
Well, we don't just complain about it. Everybody needs to stop the cycle of saying, why isn't the mainstream media covering it? That's like saying, why isn't the CIA a little bit more transparent? It's not going to happen. They're professional. It's just not going to happen. We need to stop that. Stop expecting that somebody outside of our residences are going to take care of our families and take care of our homes and defend our life, liberty, and property. There is a solution here. We need to drill all the way down to, even as far as the household. If every single American right now hearing my voice, of every race, creed, color, political persuasion, if you started taking care of yourself and take care of your neighbors and take care of your zip code and take care of your county, Let's go to, how do we keep the FBI out of our zip code? Go to your county sheriff. Find out what your sheriff's position is. We have plenty of law enforcement. In fact, the FBI uses local law enforcement because they don't have arresting authority when they come bust your door down, like Lorraine and Maureen, the Christian evangelist senior citizens that they went to go SWAT team for taking selfies at the rotunda. Tell the sheriff to stop the FBI, a known criminal entity that has attempted to overthrow our nation, our government. Tell them not to come into our counties. The sheriff can take care of it. Let's take a look at your warrant. What's going on? This isn't a dangerous person. Let me call Pete Santilli, who was taking a selfie at the rotunda. Maybe we can have him come in and talk about it or, turn himself in. We need to get with our sheriffs. We need to protect our neighborhoods. We need to stop this criminal they're foreign. That's all there is to it. They belong to the 10 square miles in Washington, D.C. We're a sovereign state. Every state certainly is. So we need to defend our life, liberty, and property. Give it to your sheriffs. Why don't you do investigations of how many people they killed with remdesivir at your local hospital? So on and so on and so on. The solution is to really drill down to your zip code, your neighborhood, and your counties, build a relationship with your locals, and let's rebuild our nation to the constitutional republic that was built in exactly that same exact fashion.
Yeah, excellent advice, Pete. I couldn't agree with you more. Actually, just a few months ago, I was over in Las Vegas, and I moderated a whole panel of sheriffs. I think we had 7, maybe 8 sheriffs from all across the country. And these were all guys who had been trained by Sheriff Richard Mack, the sheriff who took on the feds, went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he beat them. In fact, he spanked them. And the Supreme Court solidified the anti-commandeering doctrine. The sheriff doesn't work for the federal government. If the feds want to come and snoop around in a county and violate the rights of citizens, it's actually the job of the sheriff to protect the citizens and the rights of citizens. Every single sheriff in this country puts his hand on a Bible, takes a note to uphold and defend the U.S. Constitution and the Constitution of their states. And it's just absolutely critical that we continue to do that. Pete, we're out of time, but what's the best way for people to watch your show? I know it airs here on Lindell TV. I know it airs on a lot of the different networks. What's the best way for people who want to tune into your show every day?
I could say this without offending anybody. It's the best morning show on Lindell TV, first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. To 10 a.m. Eastern. So tune in right here. We've got a great lineup, including your show. I can say it's the best morning show because it's the only live morning show. So that's a safe bet there. But it's a great show. Join us first thing in the morning. Download the app and just stay tuned all day for great content such as your show. Alex, you're doing a great job too.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get you back very soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that was the great Pete Santilli. If you haven't been watching his show, you should. It's extraordinary. I go on there about once a month, and, I've known Pete a long time, and he's been solid from the start. So I'm very grateful for him and all the others who are doing so much to educate and inform and activate our fellow citizens. We've got to be involved, folks. And as much as I love all you wonderful folks out there who watch us, and it's important to get good information. Once you get the good information, you got to go do something with it, right? It's not enough to just absorb the information. It's important to go out and actually get active. Get active in your local Republican Party. Get active in your local political process. Get to know your sheriff. Get to know your county commissioners, your mayor. Get to know your state legislators, your congressmen. Get together with a group and do the important things that need to be done. We're all out of time. I'm Alex Newman. This is the Sentinel Report. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, God bless you all.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new